Welcome to the Radio of Horror YouTube channel. This time it's about a comic book movie, but is it a comic book movie? It's more like the darkest Batman movie probably ever in existence. And at times it felt like it was a horror movie. And tonight we're talking about Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson's The Batman, not to be confused with Batman 89 or Batman the movie, but The Batman, emphasis on the. And this has been in long development, all going back to 2020, 2019, 2018. And we saw previews over my shoulders, the original concept art by Jim Lee. People know him as, of course, the artist on Hush and dozens of DC comics and Marvel comics as well, and Image comics. But yeah, he's one of those Batman artists that people always look to for, like, this is a Batman artist. This is Jim Lee's Batman of Robert Pattinson's with the more, like, realistic Batman costume. And Katie, the blonde in front of comics, is here to talk about The Batman.
That's right. The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. Also, he contributed to this on the screenplay with others, starring Robert Pattinson as the Bat, Zoe Kravitz as the Cat, Colin Farrell as the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, and a number of other actors. Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright. The list goes on and on. This film, I would definitely say, after I got out, it is the darkest of the Dark Knight series of Batmans. I would say it's, people say, is it a comic book film? I think it is a serial killer detective film veiled in a comic book backstory. There are a number of films that when I was watching it were just, it's almost subliminal, subtle hints that came to mind. One, you have the Riddler, who is killing politicians and people left and right for vengeance on something that happens. The Batman is coming out of he's been away for a little while. He's coming out of his shadows, trying to figure out what's happening and who he can save, while also looking at the corruption in the city and the background of his family. There's a number of things. I'm not sure if they're actually based on the comic book regarding the Waynes and the Arkhams. I loved that they talked about the number of the films that actually I thought were very heavily influenced or just influenced this one. One, Blade Runner. Two, Seven. There's something about when stuff's going down and it's dirty and nasty and there's a serial killer. I don't know what it is about the whole city having to have it rain. Whenever I think of that, one, it always brings up Blade Runner to me. That's something that happens. And then you get the serial killer aspect. Then you've got Seven. It's not like totally in your face, but it's so subtle. And that's one of the things I love about this film so much. It's almost like subliminal messaging. Like, it's like he's sampling the cinematography, the script. I'm not saying that they're saying, hey, this is based on or nods to different films, but it's like they're sampling some of these films so much that it just gets it in your head. It makes you think of that amazing memory, and it makes you love the film and even more. And honestly, this is one of the top films I have seen in a decade. Definitely a front runner for the Oscars next year in production design, makeup. Colin Farrell is completely unrecognizable from head to toe. His voice, his mannerisms, everything. I could see him possibly getting a nomination for this. The film is 3 hours long. I highly recommend you go to the bathroom prior to this film. I guarantee Zoe Kravitz is going to do for wigs what Michelle Pfeiffer did for bullwhips in Batman Returns. And speaking of little nods, there's definitely a couple of scenes and music, again, that it's not blatant, but I definitely recognize some things from Batman Returns in the film. What are some other ones? Yeah. Got as soon as I start, there's a voiceover from Robert Pattinson at the beginning, immediately made me think of Watchmen. There is a car chase scene. Honestly, this is going to become legendary. One of the, it just gets your heart pounding. I cannot rave about this movie like enough. Like it is absolutely fantastic. Matt Reeves does an amazing job. The casting is perfection. Perfection. They don't make it campy. They don't, there all are some laughs, but it's not honestly like you see even in The Dark Knight or some other ones. There's always going to be comparisons to other films because I mean it's not like this is the first Batman, and yet Matt Reeves has definitely made this Batman original. Honestly, a little too Pattinson was, when he was Bruce Wayne, was a little too emo for me, just a bit. But you know what? I gotta love my favorite billionaire boy or orphan Bruce Wayne, and I thought he did a great job. Zoe Kravitz knocked it out of the park as Selena Kyle. Not my number one Catwoman. Sorry, I'm always going to be a Michelle Pfeiffer girl. Born to it since 1992. Love her to death. However, Zoe Kravitz is definitely my number two now. It was Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt, but now Zoe Kravitz is definitely my number two. I highly recommend watching this film, especially it is essential to watch it in the theater and experience the cinematography, the production design that I guarantee, mark my words, I will make bets on it, is going to get an Oscar nominated and Oscar nominated for makeup, if not cinematography and possibly screenplay. I'm not sure. I don't know what else I could say. I mean, this
Music.
is, oh, the music? Yes. The music.
Ave Maria.
Well, there's that, but there's also, as I was saying, with the subliminal kind of, do yourself a favor, kids, listen to the score of the Batman.
We
Then
can't play any here on YouTube, unfortunately. We'll get struck down.
I know.
Even, hey, listen, if Kevin Smith can be struck down, we will be completely destroyed.
So here's this. Listen to the score of Batman. It's playing all over the place. Then listen to the march of Darth Vader. If you don't hear a similarity, you know, call me a liar, but it's, again, very subtle, very subliminal. I mean, it's slow. I mean, the score for the Batman is definitely slowed down than Darth Vader. But as I was thinking about it later on, I was like, that is why I love this music so much. Other than, I mean, who was it? The guy who did the score, musical by, sorry, Michael.
Giacomo.
Yeah,
Giacomo.
Is that how you say it?
Giacomo, it's either Giacomo or Giacomo.
Giacchino.
I've heard it pronounced all three ways, but that is correct. That's the guy who does the music. The music's been online for a hot minute. If you buy if you buy any DC comics, they've had a code in the back to get you a couple of the songs. And the soundtrack was released this week, as well as it'll be released on vinyl from Mondo Records, who's got some great prints to pick up as well. These prints that I showed off, by the way, you're gonna go buy a pizza at Little Caesars. They're the one doing the food tie-in for the film. And then there's a novel as well called, it's the stupidest title in the world, The Batman Before the Batman. It's all about Bruce Wayne being a street racer, hence the car in this movie is much more of a street racing car than the Tumbler we got previously or the tank we got in the Justice League movies. This is definitely a street racer car. And this novel fleshes out Bruce Wayne was street racing prior to his year one, because this is year two, by the way, as the journal says in the beginning. The voiceover isn't as much from Watchmen, but every single Batman comic book ever, Batman is like sitting there brooding, talking about the night of vengeance, my parents, every 5 minutes. In every single Batman comic book, he's got some like voiceover.
Yes.
They just never did it in any of the movies or animated series. They open it up. Maybe one episode of the animated series or a couple episodes have him doing a voiceover, but it's honestly, it was an episode where he was going to quit being Batman. But the comics, yeah, but none of the movies, none of the Christian Bale movies, none of the Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, definitely not Adam West, had him doing any kind of like, I'm going to sit here and dialogue for 15 minutes worth of screen time and do nothing but dialogue. Like I do in the
that's
comics.
That's why it reminded me of Jackie Earle Haley in Watchmen, especially with the voiceover, then the rain, the crime, the decrepitness of the city, which I gotta say, living in Chicago right now, I was a little bit triggered by some of the violence and whatnot. and they nailed it. It's pretty damn good. The fact, I honestly wish we did have a Batman in the city. I really do, because I mean, it seems like a lot of places nowadays need the Batman because of the crap that's going on. But again, I think this is a film that's going to, like, honestly be one of the, like, highest grossing films of the year, as well it should be. I think the sequel, or part two, there's definitely some little hints. I mean, there's a lot of orphans in this film, and I could almost say that the Batman, it could be Batman sins of the father, because it's not just one character, but a number of them. And there's also one that they don't blatantly tell you something about the dad, but I think, if I would not be surprised if in the second, well, hopefully that's going to come out soon, who knows, but I feel like in
Give it a couple of years. I don't want Batman back to back to back to back to back. You know,
Oh,
they
neither
did
do
the
I.
Nolan films 3 years apart for a reason, to take some time and give some time to breathe.
Well, yeah, because I got 4 words for you. True Detective Part 2. I want them to do this well. They don't need to, like, just push it out and have just something. It's like, it needs to be done as well as this one, if not better. And I feel like in that second one, or who knows, in the third, there's definitely going to be a tie-in with a number of these characters with their childhoods, because there's too, I'm saying this now, there's too many coincidences. Go see it. It is amazing. It is incredible. You will, like, just want to be talking about it 24/7. I know I did, and I definitely want to see it again, especially in IMAX.
It had the different feel of any other Batman movie. There's so much to unpack with its, like, weird way it was shot, and just overall feel of all of the characters, including the very much like blatant Saw kind of rip-off Jigsaw Riddler they decided to do. Interesting. Riddler's dark in the video games. In the comic, he's kind of all over the place. Really quick references to the long Halloween, in a way, as the crimes start on Halloween. There's the war with the Maronis and the Falcones. Hush is mentioned very briefly, but in the cartoon Hush, Riddler was revealed to be the villain Hush. And there's little clues here and there like that. Year Zero in the New 52 was the retcon Batman origin story of his first appearance on the time his, like, he'd been around for a few months, but this was like his big, like, public debut. And Riddler was just making everyone go crazy. That was a rather definite homage to Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder's run on that. It's so whited out. What are you showing?
I'm showing Oswald Cobblepot from Batman Returns. So it's not necessarily.
Trying to think of what other references. Nice little nod to Bloodhaven. Bloodhaven is where Dick Grayson will go off to take care of a city when he becomes Nightwing. We're so far away from if we saw Robin in the next movie, that's great. The Nolan films are very kind of anti-Robin until they did whatever they did in the third one. And it would be great to see the Bat family expanded upon. Andy Serkis, I think he was busy making Venom 2, and that is why he is barely in this movie. That is not an Alfred. Jeremy Irons had much more to do as Alfred in the Justice League movies. Andy Serkis, he is just, like, out of this film. This is 3 hours, and he's in, like, 3 scenes and then gone. He's alive, but just not big on the Alfred character being the big supporting. It's a Gordon Batman movie through and through, which is fine, because a lot of the films have played on that as being important, but this film really wanted to make it clear this was a Gordon Batman movie with Jeffrey Wright. Pulling double duty in the Marvel Universe as Uatu the Watcher, and now Gordon in the Batman. It will be, and of course we have Batgirl coming out on HBO Max with J.K. Simmons reprising his role as Gordon. So we got 2 Gordons, whichever one's the best one. But Wright's got that really fuzzy mustache, so that was really nice to see. He really, like, beefed up his mustache after having it very thinned out as Felix Lineker in the James Bond movies. But I was like, wow, look at the caterpillar on that guy's face. That thing's huge. That's a Gordon mustache right there.
Oh yeah.
We didn't need a lot of like references to other things. It was totally fine. I liked how they kept it very contained. The revelation about Selena Kyle comes from The Long Halloween, or a comic book called When in Rome, which is a tie into The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. But I highly recommend seeing this, but you're right, you have to sit through it 3 hours. So keep that in mind, because I was like, whoa, the first hour's already done. I got 2 more to go. And someone's like, what do you mean? I'm like, this movie's 3 hours long. And they're like, oh, shit. They weren't expecting it to be that long. They're like, I expect it to be long. Go see it. Go see it in IMAX if you can. IMAXs are not doing very well, apparently. They closed a couple in Massachusetts. So we'll see if they last into the next year of Marvel comic book DC films, because obviously that is a big bread and butter. DC dominating this year. They've got now the Batman, then they got Aquaman, Black Adam, and the Flash coming out, and they got, big competition with Marvel's big heavy hitters as well. So it's going to be a DC versus Marvel year once again. Batman's the first one that comes out swinging. Streaming service stuff aside, that we're just talking about the theater alone. So we'll see how it does. Go see it. I highly recommend it. I'm a big Batman fan. I've been waiting for this. I'm not going to say he's the best Batman ever. I'm not going to say it's the greatest Batman movie ever. I'm going to say it's the most different Batman movie I have seen. It's more true to a horror movie than any other Batman film I've ever seen before.
I would say it's the most brutal and bloody. And definitely sadistic at times. I mean, there's just be careful. There's some triggering moments in this film, but it's done like to perfection by everyone working on it. And yeah, to me, it's in my top 3 Batman films. I think everyone did an amazing job.
I've seen every Batman movie in theaters except Batman the movie 1966 and Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which was the big animated movie that a lot of people missed, which is a lot of people consider to be the best Batman movie. If you've seen it, you can agree or disagree. But those are the only 2 Batman films I've never seen. I've saw all 4 of the 3 Nolan films, Justice League and Batman versus Superman, which weren't really Batman movies. He was just in them. And this one. So, the Lego Batman movie, I did see that in theaters as well. So I do love there's a Lego poster up for the Lego toys of the Lego Batman in the rain, like the Pattinson one. So that was very nice, because there are a bunch of Lego Batman toys out there and they all look very, very cute. I want to get the motorcycle Selena Kyle and Batman. By the way, they never call her Catwoman. They call Penguin Penguin. They call the Riddler the Riddler. Once again, another movie comes. She is never called Catwoman. Not even by the press, by the way. The press don't even know who she is. She's a nobody. So, but in Dark Knight Rises, she is never called Catwoman. So that was very interesting. Zoe Kravitz got big plugs from her dad online saying, "Look at my daughter, she's Catwoman." And I'm like, oh, that's good. Dad supports. By the way, I've been in love with Zoe Kravitz since the cancellation of the High Fidelity. I loved High Fidelity, that one season. I definitely want to rewatch that one season. It sucks it got canceled because of COVID, but it's just the way things are. But I was in love with her on that show. Woo-hoo, very adult show, by the way. And now I'm very much in love with her now as she's Catwoman. I was on screen, I was just like, oh my God. She is beautiful in and out of Catwoman costume. But as I didn't really know who she was until I saw High Fidelity. But when I heard she was cast as Catwoman, I was like, oh, I was going to watch this High Fidelity show. I've got nothing else to do because I got to stay home because of a pandemic, and watch every episode within 2 days. So, and I was like, oh. So definitely highly recommend. Check out the rest of the videos here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Check out a special video we're doing for Queen of the Damned coming up real soon. And like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you, everybody.